Punch the sky, Spaceman Joe. Yeah.
And now, here we are with some paranormal news from Werewolf Radar. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm Roger, joined by Nate. Jordan, of course, is over the mountains, and as we discussed on our Grave Nugget, the mountains are where the spooky stuff lives. Spooky Appalachia knows about it.
Yep.
And hopefully you survive, Jordan. We'll be waiting in the bunker when you do return. For right now, though, let's talk about some UFO debris pulled from the Pacific Ocean that may be proof of that aliens visited the Earth. Did you hear about this, Nate? UFO debris has been picked up off of the Pacific Ocean.
I saw a short little blurb about it, but I didn't read any lengthy articles.
Yes, so from mirror.co.uk,
The best,
the
finest tabloid in Britain.
we have this article written June 28th by one Yelena Maddenberg. So the week of June 28th, last week upon hearing this, that week scientists were able to recover items from the bottom of the Pacific Ocean that landed there out of the sky 10 years ago. What a weird way to say that.
Yeah, that's feels like they're trying
British
to...
English, get out of here. So last week, scientists were able to recover items from the bottom of the ocean that landed from outer space 10 years ago. And our favorite Harvard professor says that they are proof of extraterrestrial life. That's right, Professor Avi Loeb is in the room.
Hell yeah.
So he found microscopic remnants from what could be an unidentified space object that crashed into the Pacific Ocean about a decade ago, and he found them.
Well, okay, and so when we say unidentified, it can't be some man-made piece of...
Yes, this
like,
is,
stuff.
and we'll go into it. From what I understand, this is an alloy that has never been produced on Earth naturally. As far as we know, we haven't dug all over the place.
Okay, this should be bigger
And
news.
it's not human-made at all. It's no human-made alloy that he's had access to or know of. So Avi Loeb and his team went on an historic expedition to managed to collect 50 microscopic particle spherules that look like specks of dust weighing in at a collective 35 milligrams off the coast of Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
So some history on this. Avi Loeb noticed in 2014 a runaway fireball that exploded in the lower atmosphere and fell into the ocean. The object labeled...
Avi's the only guy with his eye on the sky.
He's the only one. The object labeled IM1 is actually tougher and has material strength that is higher than all the space rocks that were cut along by NASA. So, you know, when you go to the History Museum and you'll see like the meteorites and shit, that's what they're talking about. They're like cut in half and they're tested for strength and whatnot. And as we all know, meteorites are very strong. Space makes some crazy iron and shit. And this is...
You gotta be a real man to go to space.
This is higher than all of those. Avi Loeb says that's what makes it quite unusual. He continues, given IM1's high speed and anomalous material strength, its source must have been a natural environment different from our solar system, or an extraterrestrial technological civilization. So either it's some panspermia, where a rock enters our atmosphere by being blown off of like Mars, for example, which we have plenty of asteroids from Mars.
Yeah. That happens all the time.
All the time. But it's very unusual. What's even more unusual is if it is an extraterrestrial technological civilization that created the alloy and was found in possibly one of Avi Loeb's greatest theories, that it was a drone that was just sent, kind of like a Star Trek drone, where they just shoot them out. They don't return. They just hit something, give you some data, and then whatever happens to them happens.
Right. Just fall into a sun.
The researcher says the particles they uncovered were perfectly round. Once inspected under a microscope, Loeb said the objects appeared to look like a molten raindrop, which he compared to blood droplets.
Okay.
Loeb continues by saying, my daughter asked me if she could put one on a necklace, but I told her it's too small to thread. Just kind of an aside there, I guess.
Wow. I mean, don't we have nano threads? We could do it.
We do have nano threads. Here, if you go to our YouTube, I have what the spheroids look like. Very microscopic, but very, very round, like perfectly round, which is a rare thing. I mean, they're not perfectly round. I bet you could measure differences in them, which make them less unique, but there's some unusual stuff which he collected from the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. The material is fascinating, says the Mirror. Where am I now? Professor Loeb and his team hope to find out where the objects originated. This could be the first time humans put their hands on interstellar material, Loeb said. This has never been done before. We've never received a package on our doorstep from a cosmic neighbor like this. The processes of collecting microscopic space material from under the ocean itself was a task. Professor Loeb and his team basically used powerful magnets and were able to follow the trajectory taken by the original space object, using the magnets to collect particles on the way. So they just grabbed a bunch of shit. And these, after sifting through...
Look it out.
Yeah. What am I saying? After sifting through, it would have to be tons of stuff, but maybe not so much, because I don't know how much magnetic stuff is on the ocean floor.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if they're specifically looking for something this size, they might be a much smaller sample that you got to go through.
Oh yes, it is impressive nonetheless. Loeb says that the interpretation will be left to follow up papers he wrote in the latest of his 33 essays. That is a lot of essays you're working on, sir. In response to the naysayers, we say nothing other than show our data in our first publication. One cannot argue with facts, only with interpretations, he continues. The team is now planning to take the particles back to the lab, analyze the elemental and isotopic compositions, and then report the data in a paper submitted to a peer-reviewed journal according to the original report. Here it begins, Nate. Someone's giving proper peer review research into what hopefully, I'm going to say hopefully for us, is an extraterrestrial technology.
I mean, either way, discovering an alloy that can't possibly have formed on Earth is insane.
It's insane. They found something unusual that perhaps we can synthesize and make new forms of metal. Like, all the doors are open, okay, man?
6G. Let's burn out the galaxy, man.
Professor Loeb, if you're unfamiliar with some of his previous work, previously claimed that aliens visited Earth in 2017, but scientists ignored them. That's right. He's been claiming that aliens have been here, have straight up visited the Earth. He's a Harvard professor. I love it.
Stephen Greer didn't ignore it, though, did he?
Stephen Greer is a con man.
Piece of shit.
As he argued that the best explanation for a highly unusual interstellar object caught speeding through our solar system 5 years ago, it was alien technology. The Mirror is having some problems writing.
Well,
But anyway, he says
AI.
He says that a meteor or a interstellar object in 2017 was actually a UFO. That item, of course, Oumuamua. We've talked about it before.
Many times.
Interesting things about Oumuamua before we wrap up this episode. It had unusual reflections with the sun. Also, it seemed to have light sail capabilities, like it was pushed unusually
away from
leaving the sun.
Yeah, from the gravitational fields of all of the bodies around it.
Yeah, like pushed, like it had a independent source of energy. Some suppose it was light sail technology that could increase exponentially when facing the right direction from a sun to help it leave the solar system. But until we track Oumuamua down and get its body, we'll never find out. What if that was our stance for Werewolf Radar? We just demand bodies for everything.
Slay Oumuamua.
And I think that that does it for the news. I've discussed everything that was really pertinent. I mean, Avi Loeb found a new element, probably. A new alloy is what I meant to say. Perhaps a new element.
I mean, yeah, it could be.
And it's definitely extraterrestrial. It might be technology or just an alloy created outside the confines that could ever happen on Earth. And that is crazy. And I'm excited to live in these times. The news has been crazy with aliens right now. Sometimes there's monster sightings, but like the crash landing in Las Vegas, now this, I'm excited for the future. Now let's remember to do some things. You know what they are? Give us a 5-star review if you haven't. This is your reminder too. If you like what we do, listen all the way through like we know you do, Pingos. Give us a 5-star review on anything. I think most things accept these 5-star reviews, and when you do, it helps other people find us in the algorithm. The algorithm says, hey, that show just got a 5-star review. Perhaps you'll like it, because you've liked shows within the same fashion. And then bam, new people get to listen to the show. And it's the easiest and freest way to help us. That probably does the most good. Also, if you really dig what we do, check us out at patreon.com/Werewolf Radar, where you can give a small financial donation to the radar so we can keep it running and perhaps one day become real podcasters, you know, like all the big wigs with their thousands upon thousands of downloads every episode.
So our Pinocchio-esque wish to one day become real podcasters.
But you know what, Nate? We crossed months ago over the 100,000 download marker. So we're still big enough, you know?
Yeah, we're doing all right.
We do all right. We also do all right on our Twitch channel. People be watching that. I'm surprised. That's twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. And we play D&D there. Every once in a while, I'll play some video games on there. If it's a multiplayer game, normally the rest of the crew's on there, doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, if you want to tune in for our regular gaming sesh, that's going to be 4 p.m. Mountain Time on Mondays.
Mondays, you know. We're a band, Night Bastard. We're all bards just a little bit. And then other things. I'm trying to get my character killed so I can make a new insane character. But I keep surviving because I hit so hard.
Yeah. Well,
and Nate's heal's so thick.
I mean, I could stop healing you if you want.
I thought you would be lawful evil is such a like still good kind of because you have to uphold the law that you yourself corrupt and abuse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like a Black Knight situation.
Yeah, anyway, check that out. And I think that does it for us. On the count of 3, let's do our sign-off line for the news. Created by a Dark Council member, Patreon, donator, extraordinaire Dylan Gutierrez. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Suspect the void, space persons, whomever.